To get us started today, I thought it would be good for us to hear from our president, Tim Adrian, who serves as the BBFI president. He's going to share a little bit about kind of the state of the BBFI, and they're going to be encouraged by this.
Hello everybody, this is Tim Adrian. I'm the president of the Baptist Bible Fellowship. It's my joy to work with our organization, with our fellowship, kind of stay in touch with our entities, with our pastors, with our state fellowships, this kind of thing. I want to give you a brief report about our Baptist Bible Fellowship, and I want to start with just kind of bringing you up to speed on what took place last September. By the way, we had a great fellowship meeting in Kansas City. Pastor Doss did a wonderful job hosting us, and the Antioch Church, just wonderful hosts. It was a real blessing. And in our business meeting there, we voted on a couple of things. One is we invited our missionaries to come and vote in our fellowship in our what we would call our general elections, when we vote for officers and other important business. By the way, that measure passed 98%. I felt it was easiest understood with just a simple yes or no on that ballot, but we still have now a little bit of work to do on that project. We technically need to change our Constitution and do this in the right manner, in the legal manner, and change our BBFI National Constitution to reflect that change. And so we will come to you at different times and give you the changes, as well as discuss it in May and then vote on it at the next fellowship meeting. So please keep that thing in mind if you would. We also voted to expand our executive committee, and we are adding another vice president, a fourth vice president, to help us with church development, church health, church growth. One of the vice presidents is in charge of missions, and when we say that, they work alongside the mission office and represent our fellowship to missionaries, and then vice versa as well. We have a second vice president that is in charge of education, and they're the liaison with our educational entities, Baptist Bible College, Boston Baptist, those other schools that we don't really have as close a relationship with, however we are in some ways partners with, and that vice president of education represents our fellowship to them, and then again vice versa. Our third vice president helps us with church planting and just helps promote church planting, helps oversee the church planters in a sense. We do a little assessment with the church planters, some training with the church planters, help raise funds for the church planters and work alongside them as well. We want our church planters to be successful, and every one of these steps are designed to ensure that a church plant is successful. Without these things, the rate of failure goes up. With these things, the rate of failure goes way down. And we've seen this in our own group, and also as we've observed other groups as well. But we need a fourth vice president to come alongside pastors, encourage pastors, get information available to pastors, and network among pastors to help us grow our churches to a place of health. And one of the wonderful things that has happened even in the last few years has been an emphasis on things like church revitalization and church development and church growth. Now, let's understand, our main purpose as a fellowship is worldwide evangelism and discipleship and church planting. We feel that these are the purposes that God has called us to do. But our fellowship will only be as strong as our churches are strong. And if across the board our churches are in decline, then we're in trouble. It will catch up with us sooner or later. And so we feel that it would be good for us to have a vice president on our executive committee that has the pastor and the church health at his heartbeat. And so, of course, that measure passed as well, 96%. And we're excited to add another member to our executive committee. And I think that's going to be a very strong positive thing as well. Wonderful things are taking place with our mission office. And even this week, as we've gathered together virtually, some announcements will be made about the future for our mission office. I want to encourage you, if you will, please, just set aside the time on March 31st. That's a Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Get on a Zoom call with John Connor And I plan to be on this call as well. And exciting plans will be rolled out. You'll need to visit with John Connerup on that Zoom call to find out all the details. And of course, things will be announced beforehand as well. But that's all I really feel at liberty to tell you right now. Watch the missions afternoon of this virtual conference, and you'll get more information about this exciting announcement as well. But just so excited to be a part of missions in our fellowship. Great missionaries. Great missionary churches in the United States that send out missionaries and give sacrificially to missionaries. And really kind of the hub of the whole wheel is our missions office that stands, they're the bridge between the missionaries and the churches. And so we're excited to work alongside, not just the missionaries, but the mission office as well. I think Baptist Bible College is really turned the corner. And maybe you've heard that before, but this year seems to be a wonderful year for them. Enrollment is up about 20%. And I'm kind of waiting to hear through the camera a big hearty amen, all right? Enrollment's up 20%. The online school is exceeding expectations. And as I say this, I think we're at about 100 students that are taking classes online. And that is coming together. It's growing. I think every 6 weeks or so, people can jump on. If you're interested in that personally or for your staff or people in your church, contact Baptist Bible College. It's fully accredited. That's very important to understand. You can visit with them about what is available. It seems like every time I turn around, I'm talking to someone that is completing a bachelor's degree through Baptist Bible College online, or they're working on their master's degree. And so please, if you're interested, check that out. I think that'll be a real blessing. But we're excited about that. Sports program at the school is doing well. I bring that up just to say this, that student life is an important thing. And when the kids go to school, yes, they need to learn. And I think our school does a wonderful job. The accreditation kind of guarantees that, but they do a wonderful job of the education. Also, they're putting in the hearts and souls of these students to serve God with a great passion. But then third, they're kids. They're 18, 19, 20 years old, and they need to have some fun. They want to have some fun. And if the student life isn't what it should be, then kids won't want to go there. And so we're excited to just say things are going well at BBC. And so please consider that. Great reports coming from Boston Baptist College as well. In fact, most schools go down in the spring semester that really starts in the winter. The information I have is that Boston Baptist is seeing an increase, slight increase from last semester to this semester. I'm very excited. And again, Dave Melton and all the guys, men and women over there at Boston, doing a great job of the kids in the Northeast, up in New England. And I think over the last 10 years, we've seen some wonderful and blessed church planting efforts in the Northeast. And I think in some way, Boston Baptist College has been at the center of some of that. I've trained some of the church planters, and students go to some of the church plants. And so we're just excited about what's taking place at Boston Baptist. And so please keep them in your prayers and your thoughts as well on what's taking place there. I'm very excited to report to you that church planting seems to have taken a big step forward in the last year or two in our fellowship. And Terry Kaiser gives me the report that we're seeing more and more church planters go through an assessment program. And I mentioned this earlier, what all that they do, but we're seeing more church planters. And I want to encourage you on a couple of things. Number one, plant a church out of your church if it's at all possible. If the Lord raises up someone on your church staff who encourage them to consider church planting. If your youth pastor is considering getting his own church, have a good talk with him about the possibility of church planting. And then secondly, besides being a church planting church, secondly, let me encourage you to get behind this effort financially as well. We're trying to have right now, at a minimum, 100 churches in our fellowship give $1,000 a year to church planting. What's that? $84 a month, something like that. And if you can give, even just give it monthly, but if you could help us with this, it would be a huge blessing for our fellowship. We want to bring these church planters in and guarantee them some support, a measure of financial support. And if you could help us with that, you can designate your offering toward any church planter that you want. That's part of our Baptist Bible Fellowship. And so it's not like you're not supporting a denominational bureaucracy. You're supporting a church planter. Just as when you support a missionary, you're not supporting bureaucracy. You're supporting the missionary. That's what we want to do with our church planters as well. I want to thank you for spending a few minutes with me. I'm going to ask you to pray for our Baptist Bible Fellowship. This May, we will elect a new slate of officers. And it's been my pleasure to be in this office. Now, I'll complete my 4th year this year. And of course, part of that has been interrupted with the COVID and all that. But it's been a joy. And I'm looking forward to stepping out of the office, quite frankly, turning it over to someone else. And as a fellowship, we'll take nominations in May, we'll vote, and I want to encourage you to begin to pray about that. Pray for our fellowship. Like I said, I think we've got a bit of momentum going, and we want to keep it going in the right direction. And it seems like we have at least some measure of unity and unity of purpose. These are the things that bring us together. Let me say this. I know sometimes pastor will get a little disillusioned with our fellowship. And let me give you 2 or 3 thoughts. First of all, when you hear of what a church did, maybe in another time zone, and someone has reported to you what another church did, I want to remind you, what a single church does not reflect upon our entire Baptist Bible Fellowship. We are a collection of independent, autonomous, local Baptist churches. And what happens on the East Coast has nothing to do with the guys on the West Coast or in the middle part of the United States, all right? What happens in the Midwest has nothing to do with what someone's doing on the East Coast or the West Coast. And I think sometimes people will hear something and then think, well, the entire organization. No, we need to push that aside. Secondly, I want to tell you this, that as independent Baptists, we have come together voluntarily to join ourselves in common purpose. There are other groups that are like us, but don't have the passion for what we have. And it is such an important thing. And don't let some report discourage you from being a part of a group that is accomplishing great things for God. And it's important for us to consider that as well. Third, I want to remind you that, we come together as pastors to support one another, pray for one another, care for one another. And, what are you going to do on the day of trouble in your life? What are you going to do? There are these days that come, and who do you turn to? You got to be turning to your pastor friends. And if you're not connected, you're not going to have pastor friends. And then, of course, just the ability for us to have some communication one with another is a wonderful thing as well. I said all that in the last 3 minutes to encourage you to stay a part of our fellowship and to enjoy the fellowship that we have with other pastors, missionaries, and that's work together for the kingdom of God. God bless you. I hope you have a great day.